Hello, welcome back. Right, I have now made the second locker, and the reason why I didn't show the process of this is because the views on the videos are very low. And I kind of sat back and thought about this. I thought 500 and something subscribers on my other channel that I have, and I've been doing that for over 10 years, then I don't really think this channel is going to succeed either. So unless I can get more subscriptions, more viewings on the videos, I'll keep doing the videos for the ones that want to watch, but they're going to be few and far between because the initial early ones really need to pick up. So there it is. I'm pleased with that one. That came out good, and it's thicker as well. I made that one a lot thicker. We've got the other panel down here. I've ordered some wax because that's going to have to be sanded and re-gel coated because it didn't come out as good. And then I just got to take this up to the boat and alter the ends here like I've done there, and then we can go from that. Now I am not fitting these at the moment. They're going to be the last thing that go in, which is a shame because I was hoping they'd be one of the first, but I mustn't put haste. So that will be the second from the last items. The first item to go in is going to be the stern hatch, which I've got to make, which I'm now about to do. So I'm going to strip this lid off, and I'm going to take everything off it, and I'm going to put some foil tape over, cut that out neatly, make it so it's solid enough, and I'm going to knock one of these up out of fiberglass, and then I'm going to cut it down in the middle, possibly reduce it in size. Right, this has gone a bit Pete Tong. It's too wide, we knew that. However, these are the old bolts for the hinges. They don't come out, they're welded into the framework. So as I was going to cut this in half anyway and shrink its width, my decision on this is quite simple really. I'm going to do one piece, one half only. I've already waxed this, by the way, and I've put that down so it's easy to pull off and all that. So yeah, I've already waxed it. So I'm going to put a heavy frame all the way around with a very thin layer in the middle. I'm going to gel coat the outside edge up to about there, all the way around, but no further. And I shall do two of those. Then I will cut them, join them together, glass the underside, turn them over, make up another panel on here. I'm hoping I don't think I've got any. I was hoping I might have some more of this stuff lying around, but I truly don't think I have. So it might just have to be a flat panel, and this texture on here will have to make do. And then I will cut that out to the exact shape of whatever is here, and I'll glue that straight down. I've got wax coming, so I can re-gel coat the sides if I have to, and then blend it all in. At worst, I will run some black sealant all the way around to hide where that panel has been included in. It should be strong enough. I was then going to cut the inside edge out again, and then I can glass that in. Right, late last night I quickly made all these up. These are the new locker. Anyway, so there's me two halves, there's the same half. There is the liddy bit. This is the bit I cut out, and that gets glued on top eventually. Now we're very close to its limit. I didn't have a lot of room on this piece of board, and it's like covered in damage now from the amount of times I've been using it, and over and over and over. You've got to scrape all the stuff off, and that puts scratches into the surface, which, as I said before, transmits into your workpiece. So yeah, I've tried my best with it. So I'm going to have to measure from this edge here to this edge here and work out a distance, and I think the best thing I can do is square this off and cut that out first, and then I know exactly where these two halves are going to lay. And then what I'm going to have to do is measure from this edge here to this edge here and work out a point on both of them where I draw a line, and then I chop them across. Unfortunately, this was the only way I could do this. So what I've done is I've now cut those two pieces in half. I've now stuck them down to a piece of old kitchen worktop, and if you're doing this sort of work, it's always handy to have one of these at bay because they're flat. Don't use one that's been outside in the rain because it starts to swell and you'll lose your square. Simple as that. It's perfectly smooth and flat. It's ideal for moulding up on. Don't do what I did and work on it after, because I've now scratched this all up, and when you do this kind of work, those scratches will transmit through. And if you look on here, I didn't clean any of the resin up, so it's a bit of a mess. And if you look closely, you can see scratches and all sorts of stuff going on. So no, if you've got one of these, pull it out of the way. Don't muck it up if you're going to continually lay up on it. So the next thing is, because I got some inconsistencies on both of these, you see, because I thought I was going to be cutting these down a lot closer in, hence there being thickness there, and there, but not here and not here, because this one originally was going to go as far back. But when I was measuring this all out, I'd forgotten what I had done, because this was done the night before, and a few hours had gone by, and I've been watching Parlay Revival, and this new chap that's just bought a cat, and yeah, my mind is not with it this morning. So what I plan to do today is put a strip across here, put a little strip across here, minimal amount of resin, maximum amount of catalyst, because I need this to go off as quickly as possible. Not ideal, but it is what it is. So there you go. So I've stippled that on, and I've also added a little extra to that edge there because it's a bit thinner than the rest of it, because I think what I will do is leave that on there but sand it back, and then when I put that cover plate over the top, underneath, I will obviously have this area cut out first, and then I will lay the whole lot over the top. I may not even feather the centre out. I may just, well, I might put a little angle in there, a little bevel, or a little scarf or whatever, but nothing significantly life-changing. It's drying off nicely now, it's curing, and we're currently at what they call a gelling state. It's got a sort of a waxy feel to it, and I can tell you now, if you were to pull this off right this minute hastily, and it would just shred to pieces and fall apart, and you'd have to start all over again. And that's kind of how it is. So you can't really misidentify gelling state, because it feels like wax candle, and it's like very soft. And if you was to grab it now, like this whole mould was in a gel state, and you start peeling it, you'd see little crease lines starting to it, little crease lines happening like old age wrinkles, and the laminates would start to separate. Marked and cut. Next thing, get DA in here now and take this gel coat off. I shouldn't really have put it on in the first place, but I did. I didn't go as heavy on that side, but I did on this one. I don't know why I did it, because we've got this one to go straight on top when I get round to doing it. And I can't help feeling that I'd be better off laying it that way, sanding that all back, and because I've got a gel coat anyway, I just think it will lay better if I was to do it that way. Look, if I was to do that, not a very good example, is it? Hang on. There you go. I mean, it's just not going to be, well, I don't know, we'll see. We've got that bit of ply, we'll foil tape that up, we'll cut the ply out so that it'll fit straight on. I've got that heavyweight that you saw me do that polyurethane experiment with, so we'll lay that on top, and we'll just leave that to go hard, and then we'll get the DA in, and we'll go around those edges, and then we'll cut some chopped strand out to go in there, and we'll fill it, and then we'll sand the sides up, and then at this point we'll start the frame, because I can't do any more to this after that. I did cut it the shape, but I didn't make the panel big enough, so it sort of feathered out as it went to each end, and that's not what I need at the moment. I need that to sit on top of there dead flush, so when I sand that all back and I do a bit of filler work on the side there and I re-gel coat it, it's going to look just sweet as a nut with a bit of luck. So I've sanded that all down, and I've built those two ends up, because as I said, I didn't quite make it big enough. My own stupid fault, and I build it back up, so I'm going to let that cure off now. It's going to take a good hour for that to go, and we'll go from there really and see where we end up after. Using microfibers and just plain old-fashioned resin. I mixed up what was a wallpapery paste mixture. There you go. So I've laid that on. Some of that keel that I took off the other boat. That's heavy. That's heavy. Oh, I nearly dropped it. Piece of board. Had a rush like crazy. I couldn't get the foil to strip off, so I had duct tape in the end. How I thought, sod it. So they're on there now. Now it's just a question of letting it all compress down tightly, and then we'll sand that surface up. No, we won't. We'll sand the inner surface first. We'll lay up more sheeting inside, as we spoke about, and then we'll turn it over and we'll clean up the outside, and then we'll concentrate on the frame ring. It's still very much in its gel state, I suspect. Yeah, might be at my advantage. So that worked. There you go. Right. This is where I get a bit tricky. Right, well, as it's still gelled, that might be a good opportunity just to trim that crap off. And then we've got to fix all of that, sand that back a little bit, and then we've got our first deck hatch. We can then turn it back over, sand all that out, glass that all up inside, get a nice smooth surface so that the rubber seal fits, and then we can concentrate our efforts on the next bit. Well, there you go. There's a couple of air pockets I can't get rid of, but they could be dust pockets from when I sanded it back, because I did do it in its gel state. Shouldn't do it really, but I was just getting lazy. As simple as that. The daft thing is this one hatch can sink or swim the whole boat at this point in time. However, I am planning to section parts of the boat off with separate bilge pumps everywhere. Lesson learned from 20 years ago, not going into it. Right, I've cleaned it all up now. Now at this point, I'm now finding where my mistake was. And my mistake was gel coating underneath there. I knew when I did it, I knew I was making a mistake then. I knew it, and I didn't remove it. I shouldn't have done it. The reason being is this doesn't stick to gel coat very well, if at all. So it's left a groove all the way around. How do I get around that? I don't know if I can get around that, but I'm not writing this off because it's solid inside, so that it's going to stay together. So what I might do instead is just make up a gel coat filler with some resin with it as well, with some microfibers, and just squeeze that in the area. I've got to do it anyway down here because that all went wrong. This here is laziness. I should have pulled my roller out, my proper roller, and I didn't. I just carried on stippling it all together, and that's the consequences of it, because I didn't get the fibers against the gel coat properly. It's very bizarre how all this works really when you think about it, because although the chop strand don't stick to the gel coat, it sticks to the inside of the gel coat when it's in the mould. It's all very peculiar stuff really, but anyway, it is quite the combination. So there's 50% gel coat, 50% resin, and a handful of microfibers all sloshed up together to make a filler that I needed. And the reason I went with the gel coat is, one, when I roll the gel coat on, I want a white backing if possible, but secondly, resin is struggling to stick to this on its own, and I thought, well, if I add a bit of gel coat with it, it's not really what you would do, but that's what I've done. Then, you know, I'm going to go over it with a DA over this end first, and if the DA is too harsh, then I'm going to have to block sand it down. Tomorrow the wax should be here, and I can then roll on a whole new gel coat on that, and we will see how that comes out. It will be very orange peely, unfortunately, and I'm half debating about not sanding it down and trying to buff it out, because at this point in the build I just want a hatch over the hull. We can return to this at a later date. That's the plan. Well, didn't go so well. Sanded it back, it started to come out really good, and then I hit a little bit low, and I tore off the gel coat because there was large cavities underneath. That's me being lazy when I did my layup. Shouldn't have done it, but I did, and that was the end result. So I lost my rag this time, and I've used some epoxy filler. I'm going to sand that back gently, and I'm going to roll the gel coat over the top. They say you can't gel coat over epoxy. This is what I read online, so we'll give it a go and we'll see how well it come out, just because I'd like to know the answer. I'm not sure how this is going to go. Genuinely, I don't know. I've sanded it all back. It took a long while for that stuff to dry, I tell you. Hours, not hours, literally. I think I applied it at about 4 in the afternoon, and only by 2 o'clock in the morning, because I had it near the radiator, did it start to cure. That filler is horrible. Whether it can take gel coat or not, I don't know. We'll find out, won't we? Right. I pushed that over the edge so I could get that as tight as possible, and it worked. We put that bit of keel block on there for weight. Can't complain about that. Good enough for the job. Not so bothered about the bottom, because we've got to glass the inside up, although strength is part of the key of all of this. But at worst, we can get some stainless steel threaded bar if we have to, and we can reinforce this by putting the bar in there and then glassing over the top. Again, not an issue. I've also found some hinges. I've just got to clean them up and get some of the rust off them. They are stainless, but a couple of weld spatters have hit, and that obviously has reacted, but they do need a bit of a polish. I've pre-bent them into shape so they will fit that lid brilliantly. So the only thing left after this, that is going to work beautifully. I've got some good angles there. Yeah, that one ain't maybe not gone as well. I didn't have my roller at hand, so I was laying it up with a little roller just to get the layup even and equal, and then I was, where's my roller? Damn it, I left it in the cleaning solution. So I had to quickly go and sort that out, and I'd already laid up most of it, and that's not the way to do it. Not really. But it's there, and I put me press on top with me lump of steel, and so far so good. So we've got one, we're about to get two, and again a lovely, decent, sharp right angle for the seal to sit on. Going well, I would say. I've joined and made the angles. There you go. So this edge here is going to get a light sanding, and then that will get gel coated. This edge here, here, all the way around has now got to be built up to make everything thicker. Once I've done that, in order to be able to stand on all of this without busting it, we've then got to reinforce all this inside edge here. So then what we'll do is we'll run a layer along here, all the way along. So far. So I've now sealed the sides in. I've just got a little bit of trimming to do, just to get those corners a bit cleaner. Not that they really need it. I mean, I could allow that fiberglass to drape over there, because I've made this hole deliberately smaller than the hatch. And the reason I kept all of this wide was so as I could hover it over the hole that it's got to fill successfully. However, I've since remeasured again, and I've got loads of width to play with. So, but I'm not going to trim these yet. I'm going to wait till I get up the yard, and then I'll lay this over. And just because I don't want to have to fill up any holes in the deck to get this to work, but at the moment it's going well. I was going to seal that down actually with epoxy filler, but but I ain't got enough of it to do it, to be honest. So far now we're cutting the hinge pieces because I just needed the extra height, and once I've glassed this all into the edge onto the actual deck, this will be fine. So what we'll do is we'll cut some tape, and we'll cut it really neatly to about 1 inch over this area here, and we'll just do that whole line in, and then we'll do the same all the way around, joining up all the corners as best as we possibly can because we don't want any leakage. But before I do that, I am going to gel coat that edge and that top edge. But before I do that, I've just got to reinforce this area here. So all of this inside piece has to be reinforced. Unfortunately, we had a few highs and a few lows, so I'm going to attempt to build that area up a little bit in there, and the same with that one over there, but the rest of it I think will be fine. I mean, I don't even need to do that, if I'm honest, because I could just put some stuff over, but it's going to be higher than it needs to be. Well, all I can say is if we can get this boat to this standard and better, then we're in for a good shout of being able to use the boat safely and successfully. I mean, some of my ideas are a little strange, I'll openly admit. Things like a driver's seat for the wheel when it's a sailing boat and not a motorboat, but you know what I mean, my plan originally was motoring it as much as possible. The price of fuel though is probably going to hinder that, which is why the sails have been, you know, the mast and everything is staying, because I did debate about turning it into kind of cabin cruiser type thing when I first got it, but anyway, that's where I'm at. So I've glassed all that inside edge up, I've trimmed it off. It's still very, very gel at the moment. That's where we are at with this. I've deliberately sanded it back now because I want these bristles to open up, so when I put the seal along here, that should spludge around into there, and then I can sort of get a lolly stick or something, and just, or a brush even, and then just neaten it all off on the inside. I'm still debating about putting some wood in here, but no, next is to, around that battery power, cut the rest of that out, let this dry off, sand that all back. It's just generally de-dust the damn thing, and then I think we can then look at getting the gel coat wiped in here and down here. Have a confession, never used flow coat before, totally new to me. I've put my wax in, I went a lot higher than 2%. I don't know if this is going to be a problem. It might be, it might not be, I don't know. I put one big heavy coat on. Once it's all dried, assuming that I can sand it, and then I'll take out all that white around the outside edge, which I should have masked first, and I did not, because I haven't got anything apart from gaffer tape. That was the only thing I had, so I've got to sand that all off, otherwise fiberglass ain't sticking like that. No siree, it isn't. And if it dries nicely, we'll just leave that alone, and that part is done, and then we can go about putting some gel coat on that. If it don't work, I guess that's going to get some paint instead. First coat of gel coat, which didn't go on very well. I'm still learning this process, and I should have rolled it and I should have left it, but I didn't. I kept adding more and rolling more and then adding more and rolling more until it started to go sticky, and then it went orange peely, and then it just went disastrous. As it's the hatch, I'm not overly worried about it. I mean, I could sand the sides down and polish them up. I'm going to go another coat over. The next coat, I'm going to sand it down a bit. The next coat, I'm going to add a little bit of thinness with it, just a little, and then have another bash at rolling again. Right, hinges are on, only to be taken off again at a later date because I want to address this gel coat. I hate it, really peeing me off. I've got to learn to do this. It's been a while. Most fiberglassing I've been able to do with success, but this gel coat, I'm struggling with that. I want to give, what I'm going to do, I'm going to undo these nuts, bolts, remove the hinges, sand that surface down. I'm going to put one more roll of gel coat on, but I'm not going to go crazy. I'm just going to go up, down, that's it, up, down, up, and I'm going to leave that, and I'm going to put a bag over the top of some description, and then roll the bag, obviously it'll be polished, and then roll that over the top to see if I can't get rid of the ripples that way, then leave it alone and then peel it off after. With the hope that it's left a reasonably smooth surface. The only other option is to spray it on. Problem is, don't have any solution here to clean the gun after. So once I've sprayed it, that's it, the gun goes in the bin. So I'd have to find a real cheap ass gun that I don't mind losing, and then having a go at spraying it, because if the spray side of it works, then it means I can spray the cockpit once I've finished sanding it. I mean, I'm a long way from prep work, even with paint I'm a long way off. So yeah, I guess this is the end of the video for the moment. We'll readdress this. Well, you can't even put the frame into the boat because the latches that I've ordered, which are round cam latches, one there and one there, I've got a hook that goes down and across, and I think I might have to reinforce that bit of framework with some aluminium, which I've got loads of. I'll show you what I'm talking about, but the problem is if I put it in the boat now, I might not be able to reinforce it later. I've got a whole load of this stuff sitting down here, you see. Channel. So that's my plan anyway. Oh no, what's the dog beefing about? So I can't go any further, so I suppose we better upload this video. I think the next job, I'm hoping to get some a nice piece of kitchen worktop from somewhere, because I need the surface to lay up, because I want to do the locker lids next for these two things. The only thing I have lying around here that might come close to being useful is this double glazed window. And that is pretty much it. So if we were to give that a good scrub and a wax, we could lay over the top of that and produce a couple of fiberglass lids, but I don't know how good they'll come out. For starters, and they're very narrow. Although I suppose they don't need to be wide, but they do need to be two pieces, because there's two lids. So I need to put those in first, so I can establish how big these are going to be, I suppose, is what I need to do. And then the lid that I put on here has got to have an overlap here, possibly one over this side as well, depending on if I leave a gap between the two pieces and a lip there. But at the moment I don't have plans to do that, and I was going to put a rubber stop on top so as that doesn't damage any of the woodwork when it's laid down over the top. There is another locker to go on top of this one, so it's an aluminium one which will get etch primed, sanded, etch primed and painted, and it's one that seals up solid. I didn't think at the time when I was building these I was capable of making these watertight at the time. Now that I've built them and I've had a little bit of a practice run on the fiberglass, and I now am in a position where I believe I could have done. But two doors is better than one, isn't it? Thank you very much for your views. That's a new channel, very new channel. A lot of what I am doing is coming back, and some of you, and most of you, probably ain't going to agree with a lot of what I'm doing. You're probably sitting there laughing in the background at Flamer Dog. I better shut up in a minute. You're probably laughing in the background. This guy ain't got a clue. Maybe, I don't know. You're all entitled to your opinion, obviously. All I'm going to say is watch this space, but if you really enjoy what I'm doing, please click the like buttons. I hate asking, and it's cheesy to ask, but the channel's so in its infancy that I need all the help I can get, really. So if you're watching on the sidelines, please subscribe, because that helps. And obviously the like buttons, click them. If you don't like them, don't click them. Click the dislike buttons. It still helps the channel, funny enough. Don't ask me why, it just does. So yeah, I suppose I'll see you on the next one. But I mean, the likes and shares, the likes have got to improve, and the views have got to improve. Otherwise I'm just going to treat this channel as a bust, and I may not do any more for the channel. So I spent 10 years on my other channel and I still haven't got it past 600 views, and some of the stuff I've been doing is astronomical. So something weird going on with YouTube, or there's something I haven't done to boost the algorithms, and I don't really understand all this computer tech crap. So it is what it is. So I'll see you on the next one. Bye.